Okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone. From Bharat to the world, the rise of the great restaurateurs, the homegrown restaurateurs. Wow, what a topic to discuss. What a wonderful topic to discuss this afternoon. And especially when I am in the company of these successful restaurateurs. Every one of these restaurateurs have a story which has made them successful. It is not just story, it is their hard work also and their insights, the number of years they have, the number of efforts, all this has resulted in their success. I would say the golden era for Indian restaurant, food and beverage industry has begun now, especially for the last 4-5 years. It has been Indian restaurant industry is growing like anything, and more than growing, it is being recognized the world over. Be it more mentions in the Michelin Guide, be it more entries in the Asia Top 50, World Top 50. We as an industry, we should be very proud that we are being recognized across the world. People now know what is Indian food, what is good Indian food. And people now know what is good international food in India. All thanks to you guys. You have done a lot of work so that the customer, the guests that we have are aware of what, we are actually catering to their discerning palates. India has always been very customer focused. Yeah? Our belief, our ancient belief of Atithi Devo Bhava is I believe it is helping us and also being recognized now all across the world. The warmth that our teams provide to the customer, to the guests who come to our restaurants is, this is unmatched. I am sure everyone here has traveled world over, and you would have notice the difference yourselves. So, not taking much of your time, since we are in the company of such great restaurateurs, we will ask them this afternoon, what is their success mantra? How do they make their restaurants grow like what they are positioned today? And what are the essentials of having a great restaurant operation, great restaurant concept, and well-functioning, profitable restaurant. So great. My first question to you, Randeep, would be, how do you decide which restaurant to open? What will work in the market? How do you decide? Is it data bagged? It is gut feel? What helps you?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, Vineetji, thank you for all the lovely words you had for all of us here, and I think you're absolutely right. India is having a moment in the world as far as cuisine is concerned. And we're raising the bar every day. Coming to your question, I think it's, it's always a combination of things. I don't think there's one answer. I will be lying if I say the primary focus is not on the gut feel, because I think that's very important, especially with the kind of restaurants that I've done. So these are more experiential restaurants, more lifestyle-based restaurants. So gut feel is very important as to, number one, whether a specific location can work, and if it can work, what will work over there. And then developing a concept from there and working on every single detail of that concept becomes absolutely imperative. So that is there. And of course, I mean, you keep your eyes and ears open to data, to trends, to things that are happening, and they're happening at such a fast pace today that you really need to keep up with. I think the food industry is actually probably moving faster than the fashion industry today. So you really need to keep a laser-eyed focus on what's happening around you, stay relevant, and come up with a product which is relevant in the current terms.
Great. You look at the location first, and then you decide what kind of restaurant will you do at that location. Am I correct?
Correct. Yes.
Great. Nikita ji, coming to you. What do you feel are the emerging trends in the market? What are the trends that are picking up in the industry, and what should people who are budding entrepreneurs, budding restaurateurs, what should they be careful of? What should they keep in mind?
Hi, Chef. Thank you so much. Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. Emerging trends, according to me, like you said, that Indian cuisine is being recognized internationally. So one of the things that's definitely emerging in the Indian restaurant industry is fusion. Whether combining regional food with modern techniques, whether it is sustainability, whether it is farm to fork concepts, whether it is bringing regional Indian hidden gems or hidden cuisines and dishes to the forum, and chefs are adding their own twists and their own beautiful plating up or ingredients to it. I feel this is something that is really, really emerging. Indian palate and Indian cuisine is very diverse. We were all behind Asian and continental and Italian food, but now with the recognition that we're getting, I think Indians are turning towards this emerging concept of trends of bringing Indian food to the platter as well. So I really feel that this is something that is going to boom, from cafe concepts to farm to fork. Nar is the biggest example I can say for that. And they're doing fabulously well. Or whether it is Papa's, in Mumbai, wherein the reservation is sold out 3 months in advance. So all of these things are bringing forward to us that Indian cuisine is extremely experimental. It is something that people are recognizing and appreciating, not just internationally, but even from the Gen Z and the millennial perspective.
Would you call it fusion, or would you call it ingredient-based menus, or cuisine agnostic menus?
So I feel like we were just discussing before we met that in Mumbai we're seeing a trend which is increasing in ingredient forward and cuisine forward cafes, wherein the single dish or the single ingredient is the hero. It's not the interiors, it's not the Instagram aspect of it, it's not the location. People are traveling for that particular dish or that cuisine to great lengths, waiting in line for, say an hour, 2 or whatever that's available. And people are actually appreciating it and enjoying it. So yes, fusion on a massy level, I would say fusion. But if you have to see that something where the trend is moving towards, at least in Mumbai, I would say, is towards ingredient and dish-based concepts in India.
Lovely. Chef, coming to you, taking it forward from there, when you do the menus, Nikita ji said that the menus are very ingredient based, they are cuisine agnostic, they are very forward looking menus. How do you approach the menu engineering? Menu building, how do you approach that? When you are doing, especially when you are doing a new restaurant?
Yeah, thank you very much for asking this question. I think this is pro. I mean, absolutely pro. So as I have been consulting chef, I think I've got a lot of independent decision to make. I'm not in any payroll. The last was a Rosiette, and I work with concepts, and from that, I think ingredient is the heart of any recipe. So I'm sorry, Nikita, I don't like this word called as fusion. We call it contemporary or progressive. So, I mean, that's a very chef kind of, that's where Chef Vineet also, I think, stressed upon. So, yeah, I mean, fusion for me is kulfi biryani. So, we do sensible, work behind not only for Instagram and then put this forward, even in our pages. So, as I see, I mean, I definitely look at the concept and, of course, look at the ingredients, look at the core. I think basic is the key, chef. We all need to follow, basics of it, be it Indian, Asian, or European. All three, you have to, sear it in high heat. I mean, we follow that kind of braising has to be done if you are doing meats. Of course, pressure cooker is one of the equipment that we always take in consideration when we travel because of time constraint. And of course, where we are and what kind of taste. Like there's a concept that I have done in Tokyo called Tokyo Mithai Wala. So we have Matcha Rasmalai. So it depends upon how people look at, the taste version of it or the taste per se of it. And then we should definitely progress it to bring more interest. I think Indian sweets are very underrated. And in context of this Indian desserts, I think there should be a lot of work which can be done. It is always considered as something very unhealthy or very sugary is what our dessert. But I think chhena is one thing which is a key. Having said that, there's a restaurant that I have just done at Khan Market called Organic Bistro. Organic, again, is a big question mark, so I don't want to call it an organic bistro to the restaurant. There's no connect. It's about eating mindful and eating clean and eating pure. I think that's the essence of this time. Be it whatever conceptual restaurant you are doing, if you can think mindful, if you can think artisanal, if you can think clean, you don't feel bloated after eating that food. I think that works for me, definitely. As I like to see myself healthy, I want to, send the same food to the customers. Coming to the catering business, chef, I can see a lot of gap in that. Because I have been doing a lot of freelance caterings and I can see the kind of food getting made. Of course, chef, telling you very frankly, the food is damn tasty. But in what condition they are making it, there's a big question mark. And Fasai has to work on it and to see how that can be. Because so much of money is getting exchanged, any wedding is huge. So I think we at Organic Bistro serve food which is clean. I mean, our dahi vada is served with aloo dum, that is purple potato. And yesterday only I called Jaya Mishra ji, who is a farmer. And she said, Nishan chef, purple potato khatam ho gaya. Then I told Pawan Soni, who came to diet, says, purple potato khatam ho gaya. Then I served red skin potato in that instead of other white potato. So you have to think before you do any concept is what I would say. And of course, Indian restaurant getting so many accolades outside India is super amazing. I think we should think about regional cuisine of India. We should not summarize ourselves with Northwest Frontier cuisine, which is about tikkas and makhani. Of course, I love it. But there's so much. I come from Jharkhand, so I represent 32 tribes. So I'm also bringing my tribes to showcase their repertoire in big functions. And they are absolutely super amazing people, and they eat clean, they eat foraged. There are some mushrooms which no one has seen. In fact, chef, if you remember, there was an expedition program where we took chef from north and showed them what Jharkhand is. So they were all mesmerized with the kind. So, we have so many things to showcase. And I think I look at that kind of thing before I attempt any restaurant.
Lovely. It is great. I feel our menus, it is the diversity of our cuisine, which is the beauty of our cuisine. It is, we are living in a country where the food completely changes in 100 kilometers. Yeah? But still, it is being brought together somehow by great chefs like you. So my question a follow-up question would be that when you do a menu, if you are doing a regional Indian food menu, do you have a cookie cutter approach that no, this has to be there, this will sell, or how do you? So that will be one thing which I'm sure everybody will be very interested in knowing.
Chef, so I mean, we are not in that part of India. We have to definitely, look at that, and of course, the food has to look good. I mean, it cannot be in the same way what it is served. And we, as professional chef, bring a lot of attention to that. You eat from your eyes first, and I always say that India you cannot see from one life. One life you cannot see India. There's so many gullies and there's so many chaurahas. I remember Mr. Ankur Bhatia, late Ankur Bhatia sir. He took me when we were opening Rosier. He took me to Shahjahan Road. बोले उसी चाट पापड़ी वाले को निशान शेफ उसी को लेके आने का इधर खीर में. मैं बोला सर उसका hygiene कुछ नहीं है. There's no hygiene. He is sitting on the floor making most amazing charts. That I agree. But he will not be able to justify the hotel approach. So he said, अच्छा ठीक है अपने आप कर लो. So I mean, I was not being in Delhi also. I was not doing that Shahjahan Road में इतना जबरदस्त वाला चाट मिलता है. So, having said that, I think I definitely don't apply cookie cutter approach. I mean, I definitely study, go there, eat, understand the flavors, and then give it my own name. That is very, very important, chef. I mean, I take a lot of inspiration from the street of India. I take a lot of inspiration from the chefs of India. I take a lot of inspiration from people who are doing abroad, and I brought everything together. I mean, that's what I do. I do use edamame. I do use Gucci, I do use ingredients, which are truffle. And I don't think so that ingredients should be curbed. There should not be any boundary for ingredient. It can travel. I mean, there's why we cannot use edamame in our food. To make it great, we can use it. So I think, as long as you are justifying the entire thing, knowing the understanding of it, I think that's fine, and you can give freshness in that particular ways.
Excellent, great. Ankita ji, coming to you, you would agree with me that customer is king.
Absolutely.
But yeah, absolutely. So that absolutely, and with the customer becoming so, well-traveled, discerning palates, yeah. How do you adapt your restaurant to the ever-changing customer needs? What steps do you have to regularly take so that customer needs are ever met?
Thank you for the question, Chef. So I feel like, what are we without our customers, right? So we have customers who make our business and break our business. So going with what our customer wants is where I feel where we also will grow with it, right? So basically what I feel is that, if you want to get customers feeling happy, you have to constantly evolve. Today, coming from the family of Shiv Sagar, we've seen, pav bhaji being the absolute standout dish for years. It's been 35 years of the business now, started by my father. And even till this date, pav bhaji is relevant. But the Gen Z audience, that is, the new age customer, those people who came with their parents are now coming with their kids. So how do we cater to the new age audience? How do we make the same food relevant to them is the new innovation where it comes, right? For us, for starters, for Shiv Sagar, we introduced something called as an Italian fondue pav bhaji. So it's your same pav bhaji flavor, but it's got there's a candle lighting of the fondue crockery, and then there's a new flavor coming, and people are enjoying that as well. So there is that entire thing that, you evolve, you kind of have your customers at the forefront, and you decide, okay, what is new that you can give it to them. So I feel like, you have to cater to them constantly, innovate, think what is new you can do, how can you, break the market, constantly do your research. So it has to be a very research focused and a trial and error. You can do that and you can see what your customers are liking.
Will be a pav bhaji.
Absolutely, that's a good idea.
Excellent. Somebody can write it down. There are new ideas flowing here. Right here. Okay, coming to you, Nikita ji. Since we are talking about customers, could you share a memorable experience with a customer that you have in your restauranting journey? It can be an external customer or an internal customer too.
Okay. So there is this one vivid memory that I have. On my Instagram a few months ago, I was sent in a message by a person. He was getting married. And he told me that, so Bla's logo has a flamingo. So flamingo is what, you know, people resonate with Bla. So he told me that he met his fiancée for the first time at Bla restaurant. They went on dates and unki shadi pakki hui. And Bla became a very significant role. It played a very significant factor for them to meeting and their love, you know, blooming. And he wanted to do a shoot. And in fact, they even have a tattoo of flamingos. The, you know, the bride and the groom have a shoot. They want to do a shoot at Bla and they have those matching flamingos. And of course, I was so touched by that gesture, wherein in some way we were able from our restaurant, not just from the food, but the experience, the ambience, we were able to cater to creating a lifetime memory for somebody wherein two people are coming in together and getting married. So that is something which I vividly remember, and I am so happy and grateful. I was really touched by this, and I was like, I'm so happy that I was able to be a part of this journey, and you know, all the best to them. And I think by now they must be married as well. So this is one I will, you know, I will take back this as one of my greatest customer experiences in the restaurants.
Oh, absolutely. This is so lovely, and especially when they have done flamingos also. Yeah, so great. Randeep ji, coming to you, since we are talking about restauranting and customer and ever-changing customer requirements, what are the three biggest challenges that the operations of restaurants face in today? I mean, and how do you address them?
I think we're still lacking a little bit in our workforce, that is, especially the customer-centric workforce, right? I think not everyone is adept to adapting as quickly as to what the customer wants, preempting that and serving them that way. So this becomes a very big challenge because we need to kind of drive that passion in them all the time. We would really want... I mean, going a little bit away from the subject, but kind of staying within it, I think hotel schools in India need to do a better job in giving us people who are more passionate about what they're doing. It feels more like most of the people who are there, and I'm not saying this so much about chefs, this is more again about the front of the house operation. They're there because they've landed up there, not because they want to be there. And that is a very big challenge, which I see different from many other countries of the world, where there's a natural inclination, there's a natural joy about serving in a very passionate way. That passion seems to be lacking. So we have to kind of build on that passion. 5 out of 10 adapt to it. The other 5 may or may not. So that's number one. Again, not so much in the kitchen side, not so much today on the bar side. This is more on the floor, I feel. That's number one. Number two, retaining the ones who have adapted to it. I think that, again, coming back to the whole manpower aspect, like when we develop a person from where he walked into the door to what he is, to keep him with us is a little bit of a challenge because costs are going up every day, and we still have to run a business. And there's always someone knocking on the door trying to take a person who's amongst the best that you have. So essentially, I think all our main challenges come down to managing manpower and breaking that down into different aspects of that. Apart from that, I think we have a great system. Of course, licensing could always be easier if running a restaurant is something that we're talking about. That is, we are getting there. We are much better than where we were progressively every year. And from what we keep hearing, I think a lot of those challenges should be out of the way very soon, and we can focus a lot more on running the restaurant than actually chasing the technical challenges that come up sometimes, even in the most black and white areas that you may be working at.
Great. So, in your company, what steps are you taking to? Are you investing a lot in learning and development? Do you have your own setup? How do you face this challenge?
So we try to actually invest a lot in our leadership in terms of the core people who are working in the team. So I am very clear about this, and I've always been clear that I'm very happy to have the best, smarter guys than me doing the job in different fields. I'm not a chef, and I've not studied hospitality. I know over the years what it takes to run a good restaurant, but I need really good people with me. So I'll do whatever it takes to have them on board, and keeping them motivated, keeping them happy, giving them a lot of autonomy, letting them be creative. So I feel if you have a clear set of directions, let someone be creative, give them autonomy, you'll be surprised that they'll come up with a lot of magic on their own. So keeping the core team happy, I think, is key.
Great,
Yeah.
great.
And I try to be involved myself as much as possible with pretty much everyone on the floor as well. So keep that approachability open. And keep a fairly friendly relationship with everyone who's working in the restaurant, so that if they have an issue, they can always come to me if it's not getting resolved. I think that helps.
Well, absolutely. In fact, I was talking to one of the ex-principals of Institute of Hotel Management who has spent almost more than 20 years as a principal of an institution. So, see, it becomes a vicious cycle. They say, the academics side says that the industry does not pay well. And we say that from the industry side, our argument is always that the students who are coming out are not trained. We have to invest further in them so that we can bring them up to our level, up to our expectations. How do you, what is your, how do you feel about this?
So I do beg to differ with this gentleman, because I think it's a fairly well-paying industry today, especially in the bigger cities. I think starting job for anyone coming into hospitality pays a lot more than many other industries. Yes, it's physically more demanding, and that's one area which I think takes a few students away from this, because it's not an office job. You're away from family, you're physically working, the hours can get long. But I feel today, more than ever before, good talent can get anything. I think people like all of us here would sell an arm or a leg to have good talent working for us. So I do differ with that. I think if there are talented students out there, they'll have no shortage of getting good jobs, secure jobs, paying very well. And it's a very well incentivized industry also, right? So it's, I mean, you have your salaries, bonuses, tips, various things coming in. So I'm not going to say service charge because it's a gray area at the moment, but that was a very, very good compensation that was also part of the industry. Correct. So one way or the other, they will get that as well. So I think good talent has absolutely no issue in getting a good job, which is well paying.
Lovely. Excellent. Talking a little bit about tech. Chef, there is, you would have heard Chef Ayman is launching he is the first AI head chef of the world. Yeah, and he is launching Woohoo in Dubai. How do you think, it'll affect the restaurants of the future?
Oh, I think, I'll take it from Randeep only. He's talking about the commitment of staff and paying and all. So I think, we should definitely adapt the culture of, accepting equipments, okay, which bridge the gap. And of course, also solve a lot of our queries in terms of consistency, which I think is the name of the business. So in this format, because I have been using a lot of AI-based tools to create consistency in my business. So I'm not depending on manpower because they change very frequently. आज यहाँ 15,000 है, कल 15,500 also, and they change. But guests, how Indian guests are not at all forgiving. I mean, this restaurant that I have done in New Jersey called Rani, their people are forgiving. They are okay with the things going here and there. They'll still come back. But in India, they will never come back. They will have so many other, restaurants to try and to eat. Why would they come to any place where the food is not consistent? So in this format, I think we definitely should, accept AI. I think this is what the trend is, and but we definitely need to marinate. So we need manpower to marinate it before we open the door and put it inside. And there are systems where you video call also machine. There's a company who has launched it. Like you are here, you can video call the machine, and machine will respond. I mean, given the fact that I tried doing it and the machine didn't respond, just to let you know also. So if it goes haywire, then you are in problem as well. So there are two sides of it. But I think this is a good thing to adapt and good thing to inherit in our food and to ensure that the customers don't suffer. Finally, customers are God here, more than God actually. So, because there are a lot of times they confront, and even if there's anything wrong there, you have to say that that's how you are right. I've been threatened a lot of time by Zomato people, by guests, that they will write reviews in Zomato and all those places. I said, please go on and write it. And, so, I mean, I think we have to ensure that we use it. If there's anything good, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. We have to be realistic. We have to look at. Ankita ji, would you like to elaborate? Would you like to add to what Chef said on? Are you using any AI tools? Are you using tech-forward things in your restaurant?
So, Chef, we don't use AI tools in terms of kitchen. But what we're doing in terms of the operations, the marketing, and your entire customer experience, that's where I feel AI has a lot of scope and a lot of ways where we can also improve guest experience. Today, making an integrated system of say a reservation to a POS to a customer feedback, making that system very streamlined makes the entire customer experience also very nuanced. So they know, okay, when suppose you're coming to a Kaima or a Butterfly, I'm going to name my brands. So if you're coming to a Kaima Butterfly, I know, okay, fine, you have a particular set of preferences. You like your drink this way, or you like your food this way, and that kind of data gets generated. I have it in my system, integrated into it. So next time when you come, I know, okay, Chef had come last time and he tried this special cocktail of ours, and I would recommend that again to you. So I know my data, and I know that, like Chef rightly said, that people change in the system, but data remains. That's the new oil, and we have to work in congruence, and we have to keep that in your daily analysis and then work forward. So AI and your entire technology is where I think the next step would be getting more and more into data-centric business decisions.
Aldiram uses more combi ovens than industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, great. Thank you so much for these insights. One question that I have for everybody here is that I would request you to give us one piece of advice for the aspiring restaurant owners. What should anybody who wants to open a restaurant or set up a restaurant, what should they keep in mind? What kind of advice would you give? Probably starting from Chef Nishant.
I'm just a simple piece. Hire me. I am the solution for your business. Okay, I am the I'm a one-piece machine which is made. Okay, so I think no, I mean I was just kidding, but I think one piece of advice is trust on people here. I think what happens. I mean, whenever someone says कि निशान साहब आपके साथ बहुत लंबा काम करना है, आजकल मैं बोलता हूँ छोटा काम पहले कर लेते हैं सर, लंबा का पता नहीं. So what happens is that from the time I've started consulting, I've realized that once everything everything is done, like the setup is done, SOP is done, good comments, then then वो पैसा then they start कि अब क्या फायदा है, and that's where the downfall starts. So I think they should trust on chefs, they should trust on their people, and add that budget in their P&L. saying that, it's like 1 year, at least you are there. So I think that's what I'll say. Again, hire me.
Excellent.
Chef, I feel like, every Indian some time or the other in their life must have had, ki I want to open a restaurant, I want to open a cafe. They're all very aspirational. But they don't understand that aspiration and reality is where there's a huge gap. So people who think, okay, his restaurant business is very easy, very glamorous, and that's where they want to come into the business, right? But today, if you think of the capital expenditure required, the time it takes for a restaurant to become break-even, that's minimum 6 months to a year sometimes, and the operation expenses that come along with it. Many people don't factor that cost, and they do not realize that, this add-on expenses that keep on happening month on month, and the time they'll take to break even, by that time they'll have to shut shop. So I feel that the most basic advice I would give to any restaurateur is that, know your finances. Because once you know your finances, you know your reality, and you know how you can work with it. If you think, okay, I want to open a shop in Bandra. Bandra itself has the most highest real estate. Can you fund it? Can you have that kind of, can you sustain it? Amount of capital expenditure which will be required for equipments, to hiring, to your entire rental. Will you be able to break even on, say, a 6-month period? That would be a big question you need to ask before you start a business. So getting that reality would be something which, every aspiring restaurateur should kind of start. That's like your step one.
No wonder why Sindhis do great business.
Yeah, I think she's pretty much nailed it there. This is really the key. Apart from that, of course, adding to that, I guess, and this is not something new, but again, having a concept which is original and well thought of is very important. There are too many cookie cutter ideas out there, and it's becoming more and more common to just see a similar kind of product out there, because everything is so in your face today that before it becomes a trend, it's already a trend. So it's becoming harder to find those concepts, but I still feel having a clear USP is very, very important. Without that, it's a tough market out there. And again, as you said, it's not an easy business. The glamour of it is very short-lived. You have to be hands-on. You have to be ready for the challenge. You have to give in the hours. Or you have to have a very, very strong team which is doing this for you. You can't not have either of those things and find success. That's next to impossible. I think that's what it is.
Excellent.
Apart from that, of course, Nishant's hiring him, and if you need an assistant, I'll be happy to jump in. I think with both of us, you'll be quite okay. And the hardworking guys as well.
Chef, we need your number. So I think concluding, everybody has said really good, what do you say? Everybody's given great advice. But if I want to sum it up, I really want to say you need to be crazy and passionate to be in hospitality. Obviously you can have dreams and aspirations, but when it comes down to the grind, you really need to know the reality, and you need to be passionate enough to continue it for a very long time. If that is there, you will sustain in this industry, and hopefully you will even do great. So knowing your business and being passionate about it and being balanced. I need to know my P&L. Yes, of course, if I need to have chef on a retainer, or I need to give trainings to my staff, or salary appraisals need to be taken care of, all of that is against the finance aspect of it. But if I'm not passionate about it and I don't want to go to job every day, I'm not going to be able to sustain it. So hospitality is for people who know that, yes, this is what I want to do in life. This is your call. So if you are into that, and it's not just a dream कि अरे वो उनकी हमने फोटो देख ली थी न्यूज़पेपर में तो हमें भी ऐसा करना है, शेफ विकास हो या शेफ संजीव हो, you want to go to that level, great, have the aspiration, but keep the consistency and the passion burning all along.
Excellent. Such nice.
No, I think I just want to add, Shipra is here for Daryaganj, she'll not like it for that. But I think, I think vegetarian is key. I can see all the big functions, whatever is happening here is all vegetarian. So I think, and as you said, aspirational. I think you should use your, it's finally, boils down to chaat papdi, yaar. I mean, that's what I see. ठीक है, how good is your chaat in your papdi? You'll get paid good money for that because that's what people eat in Sajjan Got. Okay, which is
Chef, it is data backed that restaurants sell 70% vegetarian food and 30% non-vegetarian food because the vegetarians eat the non-vegetarians eat vegetarian also. Yeah,
so you can see the success of Rameshwaram, and I have done Satvik here, chef.
Correct.
Yes. उसके बगल में आप भी थे. So the numbers, we outnumbers ourselves. मतलब हो ही नहीं सकता. You don't need to cook paneer, right? I mean, as long as the guest is sitting, you serve paneer. It's okay. I mean, you don't need that temperature quotient or cooking collagen of meat. So it doesn't take any time to serve. I mean, most of the things come just like that. So the turnover is very high. I think that's why vegetarian restaurant, and people want to be healthier. I mean, they all think that non-vegetarian is unhealthy. So सारे गोरे भी आजकल vegetarian खाना खाते हैं.
Yes. So great, lovely talking to all of you. Great insights.